Hi, it's Nicole and Love Infinity from Positive Impact Magazine, hoping that you are having a positive day. In the meantime, we've selected a few interesting topics that you feel free to comment on. And if you feel like you want to ask a question, whether it's psychically, or I can also draw some cards from my MindBody Oracle for you. I think we'll be doing that anyway at the end of today's podcast. But so I'm curious, Charity, you said you have another friend that had their kids go back to school last week. Is that right?
Oh, no, it's been a while now. I think our kids have been back for a while now.
That's true. In Florida, they start like the second week of August, right?
Yeah. So it was a while ago. Nicole Fouché, she had a program for parents and kids, children of all ages, for like pranic healing and stuff for going back to school.
That's beautiful, because I think, I don't know about you, but between my clients and a couple of other people that I've been talking to, friends that have their kids going back to school, they are in a lot of anxiety, and there's a lot of fear, kind of like building up around this. I personally chose to keep my son home for the first month, just because up here in Connecticut, Danbury had an outbreak just prior to the school opening here in Ridgefield. So I opted to keep him home in the beginning. I'm curious to see how moving forward, if there are any outbreaks. So far, so good. I don't think there have been any in Ridgefield, but I do feel that sense of fear and anticipation. And I'm wondering if you or anyone else out there has a specific way of handling the fear or their anxiety. I have a great thing that I do with my sons, but also I do it by myself. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But what do you do, Charity, when you're faced with a lot of fear and anxiety?
I check in with myself, and I'm like, and I ask, where is this coming from? Where is this fear coming from? And then I check in wherever it shows up in my body, and I just accept it and acknowledge it and move it through and feel it,
Yeah.
That said, I have a very good friend who has just gotten COVID and is getting worse right now.
Oh, we'll say a prayer for him.
Staying in a hotel for 2 weeks. It's a girl. It's a woman.
Woman.
And but everybody, it's weakening. Everybody so far that I have known that has had it, and I think that me and some of my best friends had it in the beginning, gets through it within a couple weeks.
Well,
I feel that it was only knocked down for 3 days from it.
And this is part of what I was going to recommend we start with. If you're having feelings of fear or anxiety, one of the best things you could do is go to the worst case scenario first. What's going to happen if you get it? You're going to take the antibiotics, you're going to do the right things, you're going to make sure that in your mind, you're strong and you're fighting this with every fiber of your being. There have been a few cases locally that I'm either a friend of a friend who had COVID, and it is kind of debilitating. And they've lost a couple of weeks of work. Granted,
that's the worst.
Yeah,
or dying,
but ultimately they come out of it. There was only one person who actually did pass away, and it wasn't technically from COVID. It was from complications of COVID. So, and she was a senior citizen. That was kind of like one of the risk groups that we were aware of, that we know of. But one of the things I do is I calculate the worst case scenario first. Okay, what could possibly happen? And am I capable and strong enough to overcome that? And I always come up with yes. I always come up with this brilliant yes, like I will overcome whatever happens in my life. The second thing I do, though, especially with the COVID happening right now, I do a little bit of a meditation on the Thymus chakra or power center. That's where we generate a lot of immune bodies. It's a way to support our immune system by paying attention to it. That's where T cells are generated and created. So I'll always, if I'm starting to feel fearful, I always feel it in the upper part of my lungs, which kind of is a lateral, position where the thymus is. So I'll stop and I'll hold my thymus and breathe deeply and breathe light into my thymus. And then I repeat things like this. I am strong. My immune system and my thymus support me and my lifestyle perfectly. And everything I do will be in support of that immune system. I will overcome whatever germs I come in contact with. And then I do take a vitamin protocol, but ultimately by tapping on the thymus and by saying those things, and like you said, invoking that precious energy, that life force into the thymus area, the thymus chakra, you're actually stimulating even more immune cells and support from the thymus. So that's something that I've taught one of my sons to do. The other one, or the other two, have their own way of doing it. It's just not necessarily mom's meditation way of doing it, wacky mom and all that.
That's what my boys say. They say, some of your weirdo stuff.
I have one son that totally gets me, and the other two are like, like they just have this look on their face like, wow, okay. And at the same time, what?
Whatever you say, Ma. Whatever you say, Ma.
Yeah. But at the same time, they have themselves experimented with states of meditation or like, for instance, say strength training. I just took my son for a workout yesterday at the rec center. We just do, the walk through the park kind of thing. And then we do strength training with weights in the car. But, they're starting to come to the realization that, oh, hey, she knows what she's talking about. That actually works.
Hallelujah. It happens someday. They realize.
Yeah.
They even share and teach it too.
Well, and that's the beautiful part about this is I had written an article a long time ago for Bella magazine about how to encourage your teen kids or, preteen kids to work out. And I'm a full believer in allowing them to teach me what they know, so if you have great soccer skills, show me that. Or if your running coach gave you a great tip on how to run, teach me that, and get them, to feel more of an authority position. And that does two things, especially now in COVID. One, it will help empower them. They'll feel their own sense of authority in terms of their own well-being and fitness level. But two, it will also encourage them, to go ahead and do things that are physically active just for the sake of doing them, because I got such a kick out of it. So that's kind of like my next step. But yesterday I had my 15-year-old Quinn. Quinn is almost 6 foot tall, and he's all limbs. He's all like bony and out there, and he has a lot of strength in him, but he doesn't have that tendinous strength yet. So he was getting really upset or angry with me because he thought my cueing for him and his form was actually like me criticizing him. Wow. And I had to step back and say, this is no longer empowering. I have to figure out a way to explain this to him that he understands. It's a cueing thing. It has nothing to do with him personally. I would do it with all my clients, lift your chest, shoulders down and back, keep your elbows at your side, whatever it is. So I just found that to be kind of interesting. Do you ever work out with your kids?
Oh, yeah, and they love it. Especially because they played every sport. I think they were in everything. And they're both really good at all sports. And one time they came home from their wrestling practice and they were like, we just did the best ab workout. And I go, I want to do it with you guys. And they're like, Mom, you can't do it. You're not going to be able to do it. And when I did it with them, they're like, oh, wow, you did it, Mom. You could do it. Yeah, we're working out with us. And I'm like, yeah. That's why not mom and dad, mom and son.
Yeah, I always say to the boys, I'm always like, listen, you have to at least do what I do. And they're like, oh yeah, right. And then I do it. I do my routine with them, and they're like, I can only get 10 of that. And I'm like, come on, you can do it.
Burpees are actually, and most of our life, I had a trainer come to the house a lot and have the trainer work with them too and work out with us. And one guy I had, and I referred him to all my friends who have professional athletes that they're raising their children, or they're raising to be professional athletes. He kicked our butt. He's one of the best trainers I've ever worked out with. But it's so funny how disciplined he was in that part of his life, but the rest of his life, he was always canceled because he had car breaking down, a girlfriend breaking windows, air conditioning breaking down. Like, it seemed like the rest of his life was disastrous, but his body and eating is like perfecto. So it was like so weird to me. I'm like, how? I guess you can be like that in some areas.
You know what though, too, even people who are overweight and maybe verging on the obese range, I find that they are highly organized, super intelligent. Their places are immaculate and clean. They have total discipline for everything around them but themselves. So I do see that a lot. Like, it's so funny you said that, because I was just having this conversation with my son Quinn that, we look at sometimes overweight or obesity as like, oh, they must be slobs. No, that's not very often the truth. The truth is that they are very diligent, very self-disciplined. It's just something in their subconscious is preventing them from being,
fear.
I think you think it's fear?
Yeah, I mean, emotionally, when you look it up in all some of the people that I've worked with in the past, they said that weight is fear.
It depends. Weight. So like the readings that I've given, or the assessments, the psychic assessments I give my clients, it really depends on their emotional and mental history.
Yeah.
So if they have suffered abuse, sometimes that's not just fear. Sometimes it's like neglect, or sometimes it's a true lack of self-confidence. Sometimes it's anger. Sometimes, like, I had one woman whose mother knew she was being abused and did nothing about it. And there was this rage, in her subconscious mind that we really needed to address in order for her to feel good about weight loss again. But the weight in and of itself is just a protective measure, but there could be any variety of emotions.
Victoria's here.
Yeah, exactly. Victoria's here, and she's absolutely right. It's a form of protection, but it's also, and Victoria, we're going to be working on this Friday, God willing. I'm still looking for 5 more volunteers for something I'm doing.
Oh, I have somebody for you.
Good.
My attorney, Jessica, and I did a podcast with her today because she says she's holding on to some weight.
Yes.
She just doesn't know why, because she's doing all the right things otherwise. And she recognizes that it's something in her emotions. She knows that, because she's also got certifications in emotional.
Well, and so, what I love to hear, like, I have one client who is actually, she's seeing a therapist, but so it's good to go to therapy because you feel heard. But what I'm finding is that the therapists don't take it to the next step where we're having the conference, like I call it a super conscious conversation. And Victoria's actually had a little bit of this. Victoria, feel free to share your experience with the super conscious conversation in the comments, if you will. But when we know that there's something wrong, we don't necessarily know how to deal with it. So that's why I start utilizing the sub and super conscious conversations in order to transform those emotions. And like I said, I've worked with people who've had abdominal pain and GERD. I've worked with people who've had migraines. I've worked with people who've had, and these are additional symptoms to the weight gain. But after the super conscious conversation, the abdominal bloat goes away. The migraines went away. The GERD went away. I mean, it's very, very powerful work, because if all you are doing is, throwing affirmation and affirmation and affirmation on top of the imbalance, then just like, I got to show you this picture my son sent me about it. They were digging up a set of steps in front of a door. The door wasn't opening because these steps had kind of popped up, and they were bluestone steps. And they're like, what's going on? So they pulled off the bluestone steps, dug around the cinder blocks that were set there to support the door frame. And a root had grown in a square around the cinder block and was getting thicker and bigger and bigger. So that's what was pushing the stones up. And it's the same thing with your subconscious beliefs and thoughts and emotions. If we are not effective in eradicating that, in moving it out of the focal point and out of the active personality, if we're not effective in transforming it or healing it in that moment, it's only going to come up in a different way. So maybe that root was a problem in the foundation of the house. Someone cut it off back then, but it regrew because no one addressed it. No one killed it effectively. They just cut it off. So that's why I say, this study is going to be so transformative.
Paul, help me connect to my body. Actually, mind-body connection.
Actual mind-body connection. Yeah, and that's the other thing. So, when you're gaining a lot of weight, or when you have a lot of weight, it's allowing you to disconnect from your reality. You know what I mean?
Oh, your hand.
Oh, do you want to see my hand? I'm sorry.
Oh my God, Nicole, bless your heart.
So
you know what? That's why the hospital said it does look like you slammed your hand in the door.
I know, it didn't though.
Keep an eye on that, because when Charlie got bit by, sorry to divert everyone, but my son got bit by a brown recluse and it eats away your skin. Do you have a hole where it bit?
No, it's not a brown recluse, because I looked that up too, and it doesn't look anything like that. This is what it looked like in the beginning. I don't know if you can see it.
Unfortunately, listen, I know way too much about bug bites now because of him getting bit. He got bit by a spider and then if he gets stung by a wasp, his whole arm, we're always at the hospital if something bites him.
Yeah. You know what though? I did find, and this is healing. This is getting better. I'm sorry. We'll get back on topic in a moment. But I did find that the homeopathic remedy, Apis mellicus, I think it is called. It decreases swelling from bug bites or allergic reactions, any allergic reaction. And I swear to you, I started taking this yesterday. And now it's like this, before.
Does it hurt? It looks like it hurts. How are you even using your hand right now?
It was really painful. I want to say.
Left hand? Are you lefty or righty?
I'm a righty. This was it last night.
Oh.
So it kind of went down.
The weird thing is when it's getting better, it looks worse.
Yes.
It's like healing. So
it's
really gross when it's healing. It was so gross.
Yeah, it looks gruesome. But I knew this was not a brown recluse spider because it didn't have the raised edge and it wasn't flat in the middle. This was always very, very, isn't that lovely? This was always very swollen, but it was like a defined purple swell. And then like I said, it started, oops, am I not showing someone's comment? I'm sorry.
She said, oh my God.
Yes, it is.
It's not. Here's chart. This is when he was getting better.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what they say. And it oozes and everything.
That's his stressed out. He's going to kill me. That's getting better.
That's
poor kid. Better.
That's horrible.
Pictures of him getting better, and it's so gross.
Yeah.
And he was in the hospital for 3 weeks.
Poor kid, my God.
And we ended up back at the hospital because with spiders, the venom stays in your system, like it comes back. I don't know how to explain it. They don't have like for snakes, but the venom thing. They don't have that for spiders.
The anti-venom.
So any spider,
Well,
it can come back. You can have a reoccurrence of whatever damage, or like a little flare up again once in a while, because the venom stays with you for a long time.
Yeah, I was just relieved that it localized, just, like it wasn't spreading up my arm. I didn't have any red streaks. There was no evidence of any further, infection or anything. But
and with superpowers, with your psychic superpowers, you can.
No, and you know what? Let me tell you something. I did a massive visualization on God's light literally disintegrating the venom in my hand. And I swear to you, after that, it got so much better. And then I heard about the Apis mellicus or whatever. And I picked that up at Whole Foods yesterday after I saw a client. And then it just started turning this lovely shade of green and purple.
So I broke my knee Labor Day weekend. That's why we didn't have our podcast last week or whatever.
Yeah.
And I did pranic healing for about 6 to 8 hours and healed it. And then with the cells, Victoria takes the cells with the cell supplement. It's cured it faster. It did get the blue and black and all that. And then I did
on your site though, right?
What?
Do you sell that on your site?
Oh, yeah, I do. And I want to do a separate podcast on that, because these cells are great, because I've been rubbing the cells on there, doing pranic healing, drinking them, rubbing the cells, the cream on, because you do from the inside out, you drink the cells, and from the outside in, you rub the cream on. And then with pranic healing, and then I did a plant ceremony on Friday, this past Friday, and I was in heaven again with different, some of the same ones. But they were helping heal it. I was praying and invoking for them to heal, and my knee was on fire. It was like I could feel it healing.
Yeah.
But all the bruises went away and stuff. So it still hurts. Like I'm waking up in the morning. The last 2 mornings I wake up and I'm icing it right now. It feels the best when I'm icing it. But
yeah.
The power of energy healing and visualization. We are so powerful. We heal our own selves. We are magnificent.
Oh my God. And this is the thing. This is what I'm writing a book proposal on, is the, our culture, we are always told that someone else has got to have more information or knows us better than we do ourselves. And I know that that's a common complaint, but I'm writing a book about how, like, literally God talks to us through ourselves, through our nervous system, through our immune support system, through our bones, through our muscles. There's a literal conversation loop, a feedback loop that's going on all the time. And when you treat it well and you infuse it with a pranic healing or a vital life force, when you're infusing your entire mind and body and you're submerged in that life force, transformation has to happen. It has to happen. It can't just continue to exist the way it has always existed. So I totally believe that. And I'm so proud of you that you did that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was in so much pain. Like, I mean, my eyes watered. And I was like, oh, I guess I fell way harder than I thought. But
yeah. That can throw you for a loop, definitely.
Great, because Stephen called me. He called me when I was on my way to Cape Canaveral, and I was planning on talking to him about work stuff and launching our book and everything. And it ended up being a coaching session, because he's like, okay, let's go. Why? Like, you broke your knee for a reason. Like,
yeah,
your body, your emotions doing something. Because I felt it was, and I also felt guilty or bad. Not guilty. I just felt I was in a little bit of a slump last week and missing all the podcasts.
Right.
And being laid up and watching that show that makes me cry, Private Practice with Grey's Anatomy, between the two of them, laying around crying and not getting any work done, and not crying because I was in pain or whatever, because the show gets your emotions going. And I was trying to be okay with letting myself chill, and I did a lot of self-reflecting too. And thinking about stuff that was going on in my life right now.
Good. That's good.
And, you know, I'm starting this sisterhood today with Sandy Sembler. It's a 6-month program. And right before right before I ever do Tony Robbins event or some big event or plant ceremony, stuff comes up.
Oh yeah.
Before, it's like your ego or you know that your life is about to change again for the better. Like something.
Absolutely.
Going to happen. There we go again. Let's see how many blocks and whatever we can throw in there. Or not, just little lessons, little gifts of some sorts, right?
Absolutely. I think it's very interesting, you know, that and speaking about fear, usually your deepest fears come up just before these things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what time is it now? Has it been 20? Why don't I pull a Mind Body Spirit Oracle cards for our YouTube and our Facebook families, and we'll close it out that way with a little prayer maybe. If you all out there, if you have anything you want us to pray for or about, let us know that too. You know, that's what this is about, sharing, right?
Yeah, you say the best prayers. I love your prayers and your meditations. Wow.
Thank you.
I love them.
I love doing it too. And, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, did you write that whole thing out? No, I'm just in the moment, you know.
I decided to take Dr. Reverend Michael Beckwith's course to be a Revener. Not that I'll use my Reverend status, but everyone that goes through that program says the most amazing prayers like you do. You know, it's so cool. The wording, the impeccable of the word, you know, how impeccable they are and the way they use the language is so.
I literally, like the time we did the money manifestation meditation, I literally felt like, I felt like something shifted in me. And that, like, the next day I got 6 calls for 2 old clients and like 4 new ones. I was like, what's going on?
Oh, it looks like you're wearing gloves.
I know. Doesn't it look like a monkey hand? It looks like a monkey hand.
It's like you're wearing, it does. Oh my God.
It's so creepy.
The Planet of the Apes are taking over.
Yes. Okay. So these are the cards that I pulled for our podcast today. Transform, Teach, and Sacrum. Wow. So someone out there that's watching, maybe you're struggling with your sacrum. So the sacrum is basically the history of personal relationships. So if you're having low back problems, lumbar and sacral issues, it kind of, you know, it's like a reminder, like, okay, you're dealing with this problem again. Let's take a look at this. Let's work on this. So what I love to do for the sacrum is a stretch that allows you to get looser in the hips, and it allows the sacrum to flex a little bit. Usually the sacrum is very stable. It does have the ability to flex, but more often than not, we don't put it in a position to flex. So then it gets tight and it seizes up on certain people. I had a client that we would start every morning with a bear walk, you know, every time we worked out. But I'd also like you to do the piriformis stretch, and I'll just explain how to do that. So you take your right ankle on your left thigh, or whichever. You're not going to be able to do this one, Charity or Love, because of your knee, I don't think.
I've got ice on it right now.
So if you put maybe the opposite ankle on the hurt knee, it won't, then you'll have more flexibility that way, and you can feel it more deeply on the other side. But you're going to lean forward and try to draw your thigh closer to you, the one that's supporting the ankle. And you're going to exhale hard, contract the abdominals back toward the spine as you do that, because that's going to stretch the piriformis. And the piriformis kind of like works in such a way that it holds all of the muscles and the sacrum together. So you want to stretch that out. You want to make sure the piriformis is nice and loose. But then I would do something else called a reverse roll, which I can, let's see, I guess I can't really demonstrate that with this camera angle, but maybe, you know what, I'll post it on all my social media tomorrow, how to do a reverse roll for the lower back so that you can release the sacrum in the lower back. That's really important.
Back and squeeze your knees and hug them.
Oh, you can do that too. Yep. But see, the thing that I look for in a stretch is when the opposing muscle group is getting tighter. And that's what the reverse roll does. It helps tighten the abdominis. So you're supporting the lower back and the sacrum, but you're also alternately stretching the muscles around the sacrum, the erector spinae, the quadratus lumborum, and those are going to be really, really important to keep loose and flexible if you have sacral problems.
I have a good friend that's staying here. He is having major problems with that because he drives to Alabama and back.
Ooh, wow.
And he's having, he can barely walk the last time I saw him. I'll make sure he watches your video.
Yeah. Watch the video and do this piriformis stretch, but I'd also start to, just breathe into the sacrum and start asking it, what do you want to tell me? What is it that I need to know here? I'm working on a solution to create peace in that part of my body and painlessness. What do I need to know? And usually when you say those things, just consciously being aware of that thing, something pops up into your mind about how to handle it. You know what I mean? Or like what I did with this, it popped into my mind that homeopathy might be a good way to go. And then one of my clients, whose husband is a doctor, she mentioned the homeopathic remedy. And I was like, I think I actually have that from when my sons were little. And then it led me on this search. I didn't actually have that one, but so it led me on the search.
Breathing into anything, any pain spot is huge.
It's that vital life force. It's got to penetrate the pain. And if you can't do that, you got to learn how to do that. And I'm sure Love Infinity is available to train people as well as I am. But if there are no other questions, I think we got to close, right? Because we got to jump into something else. I don't see the time very clearly without
3:35. Yeah. So at 3:45, we've been on for 32 minutes.
So we will wrap this up with a prayer. How's that? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, we ask that all archangels, all angels, all ascended masters, the Holy Spirit, the Virgin Mary, Jesus, and God follow us through our day, making us happier and more whole and less fearful as we move through our day and trust that our children will be protected through their school day and trust that we will be protected throughout our lives and our day. We know that everything is better with God involved, and we ask for his blessings now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Okay. Listen, you guys have a great week. We'll see you Thursday. Oh, what was this? Victoria's saying something.
Oh, you want me to post on Facebook to look for 5 more volunteers? I'm sure I can get them.
Oh my God, I would love that.
Only 4 because I have one for you.
Well, you know what? I would err on the side of 5 or 6 just in case someone drops off the map. You know what I mean? I would love that, Victoria. Thank you so much for helping me out there. That would be phenomenal. So thank you all. And if you do want to volunteer to be in a study with me twice a week, I'll train you for online superconscious conversations. And hopefully that will help you with your weight loss goals. It's helped my other clients with weight loss goals. So I need to get verification from a little bit broader audience, and I want to put it into a book eventually, but everything can be anonymous, as you know. So I just need the information, the feedback. You got it. Thanks, Victoria. You are awesome. All right.
Bye, Nicole. Love you guys.
Until next time, stay positive. See you later. Yay.